Hello and welcome to StratNews Global. I am Surya Gangadharan, and today we are talking to Professor B.R. Deepak of Jawaharlal Nehru University on exactly how this India-China standoff has reached the stage where it has. Is it because of a lack of understanding between the two sides? Are we reading the Chinese properly? Do we know how they think, what they want? These are some of the issues I will take up with Professor Deepak. Sir, thank you and welcome.
My pleasure, Surya.
Professor Deepak, the current standoff, what's your reading of how it has gone so far? How do you see it?
There are layers and layers, and if you delve into one particular layer, it will take ages to explain it. But what I will say is that this standoff, it is the continuation of our border problem with China, which is still not resolved. And I think if you see the Chinese side, how they perceive it, so they perceive LAC, line of actual control, as a gray area, So which I think India at times it has not understood. India has taken it as, oh, this is a line which we agreed to in 1993. And Chinese, I don't think they see it that way. So Chinese, they see it as a gray area, and they believe that since they have ramped up infrastructure on their side and made line of actual control quite accessible, to the patrols and also deployment in the rear, so they are much better placed than I would say we are. So it is only off late, I would say, that we have been slowly picking up and ramping up our infrastructure. So that has brought us in direct conflict, as far as these patrolling positions are concerned with the Chinese. So they believe that the identification of the line of actual control, it is problematic because they believe it is a whole gray area, that. And how do you identify each and every section of the line of actual control? And if you go on identifying these issues, these spots, then apart from 23, which both sides they have identified so far, right from JWG, which was constructed in 1988, and thereafter, there would be innumerous such spots according to the Chinese, and it will create huge problems, for both sides. So therefore, the Chinese believe that identification of the line of actual control is not in the interest of both the countries. Yes, Surya, you were.
Yeah, I mean that could also be read in India as an excuse, to not resolve the border and ensure these pinpricks continue, which for the Chinese is also leverage. Many see these intrusions and transgressions as Chinese attempts to leverage their strength against India.
Yeah, right. So that's what this my third point, in continuation with this, is that if it remains the gray area, and given the capabilities and capacity of the Chinese along the border, so they can infringe, they can transgress, on new areas and militarize them. So far, maybe they have not militarized, many areas in LAC, but they could, the way they have done it in South China Sea. And if that starts to happen along the border, with India, so that would invite a huge problem, for both the sides, and the confrontation could not be ruled out. But Chinese at this point in time, they believe that since they can do it incrementally and gradually, so, and India, as usual, so they would like to negotiate a settlement, or as we say that, restore the status quo ante, and that's it. And then the problem is resolved for the time being.
The Chinese have opened up on practically every frontier where they have an issue, from South China Sea to East China Sea down to, India. I mean, it's like, why are they opening so many fronts at the same time? It's not common sense, is it? I mean, it's not. Is that, are they thinking this through?
As far as I think India and China border is concerned, there is a, message, also a message, discrete message, I would say, that China believes, and of course, I think they don't say it openly, but this is my feeling that they believe that the consensus which was reached between Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping in Wuhan, so that has not been carried out in letter and spirit by the Indian side. Mm-hmm. The consensus in Wuhan later, reinforced through Chennai Connect, that was that India and China, so there would be, partners in development rather than strategic rivals or competitors. So this was, one of the main, you can say, consensus. Of course, there are other than we will not let our differences, to turn into conflicts, so on and so forth. But I think it is that, and China believes that rather than, being partner of India, rather than being partner of China, so it is behaving like a rival. Right from, you can say, our security cooperation with the United States, the way we have been, you can say, strengthening our security partnership with the U.S. And its allies, be it Asia Pacific strategy, be it Quad, and be it various other naval exercises, including latest India joining the chorus of 140 plus countries to ask for investigations into this coronavirus origin.
Yeah. So when Professor Deepak, when China talks of partners, are we? Is the definition the same for both of us? Are they looking at subordinate partner, one who go along with China on what China decides? Because one doesn't see how this really meshes through. Our outlook is very different, and we are not going to be anybody's junior partner, or perhaps is that how the Chinese look at it? Since we are not, there's a huge
China, of course, they would be very happy, if India joined the chorus of other smaller countries in South Asia or Southeast Asia to join their, various initiatives, including Belt and Road initiative, But I think Chinese, they are clear, so they know that India is not a, it's not a minnow, it's not a banana state. They know that it has its own policy. But that is exactly what Chinese, so they were finding it problematic with that, the sort of like equidistance or sort of, so this balancing, approach of India, or you can say a strategic autonomy of India as far as foreign policy relations are concerned. So China believed that that policy has been discarded now, So it is moving much closer to its detractors and trying to contain China. So it believes that now India is a part of U.S. containment policy. So that is one thing. But I think as far as India's status as a partner of China is concerned, so I think China from the very beginning, it was clear that India will not behave like other countries in the region, because it is a big country, it is a big emerging power, and maybe the only country in China, in Asia, so which can stand up to the Chinese challenge.
So that is something the Chinese accept, that we are perhaps their sole challenger in Asia. Yeah, and that may account for the way they are behaving with us.
Yes, they believe it. They believe that India is, the emerging giant. They do accept it. But of course, I think India still, doesn't figure very, very prominently in their foreign policy.
Okay. Now, on June 6th, there is going to be a meeting at the very high level for the first time, Lieutenant Generals of the two sides, to sort out this border muddle. What do you expect from it?
I expect, both India and China, they cannot afford a military conflict at this point in time, when especially both are reeling under the pressure of economic depression, as well as the fight against this pandemic, COVID-19. So first thing, I think both will agree that status quo ante, it is restored, and immediate de-escalation or disengagement at the various points, especially some of the new points which India believed that Chinese they have ingressed, and they were never there before. So I think this would be the main agenda of the talks, and I think ultimately the status quo ante it would be restored, but the message would be clear from the Chinese that we would not be treating the LSE as the de facto border. So we would be furthering our claims. I think this is the message again for India that the best deal it would be a package deal to resolve the boundary problem. Sectoral approach, which I think of late they have believed that India is trying to barge into, destroying the Chinese fit and comply in the Western sector.
So to sum up, the border situation appears headed for de-escalation, but that doesn't resolve the issues between us as far as the boundary is concerned. And as far as the economic element goes, there are benefits to be had from continued Chinese investment and linkages with India, but that's again something to be looked at and worked on if we are to build trust going forward. Professor Deepak, thank you very much. Pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, Sam here.